Hello friends, Tanya here, and today I am doing a 5 cards 1 kit video featuring the Spellbinders January 2022 card kit of the month. It is called Truly, Madly, Deeply, and I did an unboxing video for this, and I posted that yesterday if you want to check that out on my video channel or on my YouTube channel. And I am diving right in with the first paper in the paper pack. I am adoring the prints in this pad. They are just gorgeous. I did add a little bit of lightweight cardstock behind the paper to give it a little extra sturdiness. And I'm pulling out this sneak peek of the precision layering set. This is set A. There's an A and a B. And they create layers that I believe this set is 1/8 of an inch difference from each other. I'm laying that on our 6x6 piece of pattern paper, and I am using the die from the card kit this month that creates this pierced edge banner. And it has several components. Now I took the slightly larger layering die and created a white mat for the floral pattern for the front of the card. And next I'm taking some stamps from the stamp set to add decoration to the inside of the card. I have a panel of 4 by 5 1/4 inch white cardstock that I'm stamping with some ink. This happens to be Concord 9th, and this is the mushroom ink. I was hoping for a really light gray. This is a little darker than I was hoping for, but we're just still gonna go with it. And I stamped the flower, and then I am going to figure out placement because I want the word love to overlap both of these flowers. And I'm just trying to find the best grouping of these images and sentiment pieces together. So I'm going to add this flower here in the same color as the first one. And I'm really wishing these were lighter. It turns out in the end, but I think it would have looked better with a lighter gray. You tell me what you think. Maybe you think this looks just fine. Maybe you have another good suggestion. I'm going to take my anti-static powder tool, make sure that none of that ink is still damp because I don't want any embossing powder to stick to the flowers. Next, I'm going to stamp the word love with some clear embossing ink. I do ink this up more than once because I want a really nice solid embossing of this sentiment. That is inking number 3. You probably wouldn't have to ink quite that many times, but I am a little obsessive about it. I do use some gold embossing powder here to heat emboss the word love. Just going to use my heat tool to get that all nicely melted and gold and shiny. And then we're going to take one of the sub-sentiments here, and I honestly can't remember what it says. And if we're going to be fully honest, I made this video right before Christmas, and I'm doing the voiceover on vacation in Mexico. So I don't even have the card in front of me. So I'll have to wait till this is a close-up to tell you what it says because I don't remember what it says. It says, love our friendship. That's what it says. This is actually going to go on the inside of our card. I'm going to use some Bearly Art Precision Glue to glue that to the inside of the card. I like how this looks on the inside of these card blanks that we are sent in the card kit. It adds a little extra weight, and it's a nice, smooth, and easy to write on surface when you add a piece of other cardstock on the inside. You can stamp on the card bases that they send, and you can stamp on them. I just prefer to add a little more of the extra smooth cardstock on the inside. I am adhering that layer of white cardstock that I die cut as the mat behind the pattern paper, and you can see that I did cut out a shape from the middle of the inside because I didn't want to waste that good cardstock. and that was from the kit. Now I am taking a piece of gold foil cardstock that came in the kit. I love the gold foil cardstock and the silver foil cardstock that comes in the kits from Spellbinders. It is the best paper. It is amazing. It is double-sided, so you have the shiny beautifulness on both sides. It die cuts like a dream and really enhances all the details. I used the Barely Art Precision Glue to add some adhesive behind that. And that particular die is from the Sweet Serenade line. I think it's something Symphony. I'll have it linked in the description box below. So that has an inner piece that cuts all the details, and then it also has another die that cuts the outline of the shape, which is how I cut that gold beautifulness. And then I used just the single larger die to cut the vellum and adhered those pieces together. I also took a chipboard sticker from the card kit and adhered that to the front of the gold foil element that I glued to the front of the card. And now we're going to add a little extra something to the inside of the card. I took some of my shimmery watercolors. These are Daniel Smith shimmer watercolors. Actually, I think they're called luminescent. But anyway, they're like a glitter watercolor. And I'm trying to add a little extra pizzazz. And I thought I matched these colors pretty well to the pattern paper. But in action, they are not quite perfect matches. A little bit of a regret to do this to the inside of the card. It was kind of pretty just in the black and white and pink, but we're gonna go with it as always. They aren't always perfect, and just because I don't love it doesn't mean someone else won't find it lovely. I'm using a pink, I think this is actually garnet, and then I don't remember what the green is called. But I just used a bluish greenish color to create the leaves and the pink for the flowers. And I'm going to add a little bit of a coppery color for the inside of the flowers to add that little touch and detail to the inside. And that's a quick look at that first card. The next card we're going to create, we're going to use the large cluster of flowers that shapes a heart, and we're going to stamp that repeatedly on this piece of white cardstock with clear embossing ink in order to create an all over background. You could just do this as a watermark ink on the back or on the background, but I am going to add some white satin pearl embossing powder and create this raised shiny tone on tone look, which is one of my favorite ways to add extra texture and detail to a card. I think it is very classy and it really adds a lot to a background without being overly busy. I'm going to adhere that directly to the card base from the kit. I did cut it down with that same layering die set, the precision layering die set. I believe that is a 3 3/4 by 5 inch panel. And I have this cluster of ephemera from the kit and a banner that is die cut from the same floral paper as the first card. I did use some press and seal to hold this cluster of elements together the way I liked it while I prepared the card. I sometimes go through all of the ephemera and group things together that I would like to use. And once I've laid them out in a way that I like, I will put some press and seal over the top to keep that all together kind of as a planned card waiting to happen, just waiting for me to finish the different elements. Now I did use a little bit of coaster blank, which are just blank pulp board pieces, kind of a lightweight chipboard. If you're interested in those, I will have those linked in the description below. However, Spellbinders has started carrying foam sheets, like fun foam sheets. If you're interested in that, I can provide a link if you want. So I am adding a little extra detail to this card by adding the dimension behind these ephemera pieces, and it really makes them shine when you raise them up off the surface of the card a little bit. I'm even going to bend those little wings up to create a more fluttery butterfly. Next, I'm going to pull out some of these iridescent white sequins from the card kit, and I do love to add a little extra bling to my cards. We're going to bling this out a little bit. These sequins are all the same size. I did take a scattering of those across the card, and I think it really adds a lot. When you're using ephemera, you want to pull out all the stops and add all of the extra bling to make those even more special. The next card, we're going to use a combination of ephemera and the pattern paper and chipboard stickers, and we're going to use the stamp set. Again, we're going to use that cluster of florals that is shaped in a heart, and again, we're going to heat emboss it with white satin pearl. I did that right in the middle of this panel that is, I believe, 4 by 5 1/4 inch. This is going to be the inside of the card this time. I wanted to try a little double embossing here. So I'm going to take the word always, and I'm going to stamp that in clear embossing ink lined up over the heart. I don't think I remembered to use an anti-static powder tool this time, but it did turn out okay. I'm careful to not squish this stamp too much when I'm pushing down, and we're going to achieve a better image that way. So you just gently push down and let the layers of ink build up to achieve the look you're looking for. So I'm taking a couple of sub-sentiments here, and I'm going to put these above and below the word, just lining those up carefully. I'm not going to ink that up yet until I have both of these sub-sentiments on the card, or excuse me, on the lid of the Misty, so I can do the inking all at once. Now I have it all lined up above and below the word always. We're going to add some embossing powder to that also. And we're going to heat emboss this again in a different color embossing powder to achieve a double embossing effect. I have this gold embossing powder that we used earlier. We're going to use that again. And, excuse me, you have to be careful that you don't over ink the sub-sentiments. The finer the detail of the stamps, the less it will take well to repeated stamping with the embossing powder to get your details. I love how that double embossing looks. I think it looks so elegant, and that would actually work as a card front, I think. Again, using the precision layering dies to get the size that I want. And we'll adhere that to the inside of the card, and that will be it for card number 2. I don't think I put any sequins on here. I am putting a heavyweight block on here because with all of that embossing, it does give it a little bit of warp if you don't do that. Card number 3, we're just going to work our way partway through this pad of paper. I just grabbed the next pattern paper out of the pack. Love that pattern paper. I can't say that enough. Created another panel for a front of a card, glued that to the A2 sized card base, and then I am taking some die cuts from the die set that came in the kit this month, and I die cut the gold paper with the smaller of the banners, and then I cut the smaller of the banners with one of the word dies in the drop with the drop out words in the pink that's in the kit. And then I add a strip of the die cut piece for the top of the banner. And I did place these elements under the heavyweight block to get those to finish drying and adhere well. And then we'll glue these elements together. It does fit perfectly under that little piece that glues to the top, and I love how elegant this looks with the white, gold, and pink. I think that is just a beautiful look. Next, we're going to take some ephemera from the kit And we're going to add some coaster blank behind some of these pieces again. I'm cutting a really tiny piece to go behind this heart that we're going to glue onto the larger circle with a heart. And we're going to take a little piece of coaster blank and put it behind that also. We're going to layer all of these together up on the card front in a cluster of elements. So this is a mixture of die cuts and ephemera from the kit. Again, adding some dimension behind these items really makes a difference in the look of your card. I think it really classes it up and brings it to a different artistic level. I'm trying to figure out how I want to lay all of these. I don't want to do a landscape. I want to do a portrait card this time. And I'm just going to make them a little tilted each way. I'm going to add this little gold foil heart from the ephemera pack. And this little ticket tab that pulled off of a grouping of other ticket tabs that were varying colors, and they all said 022. I'm thinking 2022. And we're going to tuck this under the other elements just as a nice little touch of color and foiled letters. Next, we're going to take these beautiful gold banners with words and a pretty little bow. I'm going to adhere that to the front of the card and add some more of these white iridescent sequins. I just think that they are a perfect match with this kit. They do such a good job picking either gems or sequins or other fun little embellishments in the kit, and this is no exception. I love that this white iridescent sequin adapts so well to each of the pattern papers that are included in the kit this month. And there's so many of them. You will have plenty to make all kinds of cards. In fact, you probably have enough to do 2 or 3 or 4 shaker cards too, if you enjoy a good shaker card. Almost done here. I am just picking up the last couple sequins and adhering those with the Barely Art Precision Glue, which, wow, I don't think I've used any other glue really for the last, I don't know, year. And that is also available in the Spellbinders shop. We are on to card number, I think this was card number 4. I could be wrong. Again, laying down a matte panel of white cardstock, and I have this geometric pattern that I pulled from the paper pack. We're going to adhere that to the mat. This has more of a masculine feel to me, or if you have a quilter in your family or in your or in your friend group, this might be absolutely perfect for them because it really does look like a quilt on this card. It also just has a very geometric and gender neutral look to the colors and the pattern. I'm going to add a little bit of vellum to the back of this chipboard sticker frame, and I am going to then add some coaster blank strips to add a little dimension behind this. I've talked about adding dimension to your ephemera many times on this video, just because it has so much impact on your finished result. I've cut some thin strips of coaster blank. I like coaster blank for a number of reasons, including that it's thinner than foam tape, meaning it's not going to raise things quite as high as the foam tape would. It's a little more subtle. Next I'm adding, I'm still working on adding all of the coaster blank pieces behind that frame to raise it up a little bit. Next, we're going to take this piece of ephemera and we're going to add a piece of coaster blank behind that, and we're going to glue that directly to the front of that frame. Next, I have a piece that I die cut from the gold foil cardstock, and this I believe is from the APG of the Month kit. It has 2 layers, a very filigreed heart, along with the vellum solid heart die cut. I adhered those with some Barely Art Precision Glue also, had those under a heavy block to help them adhere. And I glued that sentiment to the front of that frame. I'm thinking we are going to need another piece of coaster blank behind the vellum under that element to add some stability. Time to add this to the card front, and we're doing a landscape this time. I want this to be off center and a little bit off kilter, and then we're going to take this beautiful little banner and add that to the front of the card also. To keep my dimension all even across the front of the card so it doesn't warp or cause any damage to the card, I'm adding a little strip of coaster blank on the outer edge of the banner and then adhering that directly to that frame and to the card front. Next, we're going to take this pretty little heart that we've created with the die cuts and gold cardstock and vellum, and we're going to adhere that over the banner, and I believe it's going to overlap just a little bit onto that circle. Nope, just going to butt right up. And that is card number 4. I think I am just going to add a piece of white white cardstock to the inside of this card, and then we can write on it more smoothly. Oh, wait, I took a piece of ephemera and glued that to the inside. This says, "I love you truly, madly, deeply, forever and ever." And the front of the card says, "You will forever be my always." That's a great card. Next, we have a new addition to the Club of the Month lineup. This is the embossing folder of the month, and it is fantastic. It will take an entire 8.5 by 5.5 inch piece of cardstock, which is half of a piece of 11.5 or 11 by 8.5 inch paper, and it will emboss the whole thing. I am going to take a piece of white cardstock that I have die cut with one of these layering dies, and we're going to emboss it on some white cardstock. This is some textured white cardstock I have in my stash. I think it's from an old kit. I got a bunch of this lovely textured cardstock in older kits. And we're going to build our card. These pieces are from the kit. I die cut the flower pieces and adhered those together on the unboxing video. You can check that out if you'd like. I'm using a banner that I cut from the different cardstocks pattern papers that we've already used, and since they're all from the same paper pad, they all coordinate beautifully. We're going to create a little banner across the entire card front, and I'm going to add a little bit of coaster blank behind each of these banners to add a little extra dimension. This card is going to have all of the things going for it. I also have the elements that I adhered together of the flower branches with the 3-branch piece and the hearts that fit on there like little buds. I have the assembled flower on the center and one of the ephemera sentiments, and then one of the stickered glitter sentiment pieces from the kit also. When I was assembling that particular element of the card, I accidentally untied that little bow that came on the banner, but decided that it looked okay the way it was. Can't always fix everything once you've untied it. I don't think I could possibly tie that again. So I'm taking these branches of flowers and tucking the end of the stem under the banner on each side. And that has all but a couple of the dies from the die set in this card of the month kit on the card front. I am really enjoying this die set from this card kit. It will last, it will be around for many cards to come, I think. Again, adhering a piece of white cardstock to the inside, and I'm going to take a couple more of the assembled flowers from the dies to the inside, and I'm just going to put them in each corner on the inside of the card. These will adhere down pretty easy, and I love that the stem and the leaves are that gold foil. It is gorgeous. I love that stuff, and I'm so happy that they are actually carrying it separate outside of the card kits, and I'll have that linked in the description box below also, just in case you want some of that gorgeous gold foil cardstock yourself. Here's a quick recap of the cards that I created today, and I'd love to know which one was your favorite and what other ideas you have to use this kit. If you aren't subscribed to the total package, I highly recommend it. You get all of the card kits that they put out every month for $100. It's amazing, and you can order these kits through the 24th of January, and then there's a closed window where you can't get them anymore. So check those out in the description box below. All of the supplies I used today are in that description box. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please take a moment to do that now. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And until I have another video, here are a few I thought you might enjoy. Until next time, bye-bye.